Hey, True Believers, England team here. Looks like I'm flying solo tonight, but I think it's going to be pretty fun, pretty interesting, and maybe even just a touch predictable, is in my opinion, because once again they made a big deal out of it's what's his name, Tom Taylor, took control of Superboy. They're calling him Superman, but let's face it, it's Superboy. And I did a little review of the first issue over on Old Man Comics, and I mentioned how they're turning him into a dictator. And there is actually a scene where he doesn't agree with border policy, therefore he assaults a border agent. Now, of course, as it was stated a couple of, what was it, last month? I believe, what was it, Ethan Van Sciver came out and said they're going to make Superman gay by making John Kent Superman. And I was asked to comment about it. So I made a video. Would this work? Could this happen? And I said, abso-freaking-lutely. So they went ahead and did it. And the thing is who freaking cares? I mean, like, first of all, I noped the out of Superboy when I saw him beat up the border patrol. When I saw that, I was like, okay, you want to make him a dictator? I'm out. Too rich for my blood. I'm gone. But this is, this is dull. It's boring. We've been there. We've done that. We refuse to buy the t-shirts. It is absolutely 100% jumping on a bandwagon. There's nothing to this. Hello to Dalton. How you doing?
Hello, and right in there, you sort of jumped on my only major issue. Well, I have a couple major issues with this because, quite frankly, as a gay guy, I would prefer if this stopped, please.
Mm-hmm.
But let's put that aside for 5 seconds and just address the fact that Jonathan Kent is actually the fascist Superman or quasi-fascist Superman that they always want to lay at the feet of Clark for some reason.
Yeah.
And yet, when he told off his dad, like, you don't know how to be Superman, even though you've been doing it for 60 years on and off, Dad. I know how to do it better than you, derp. And all of the furled incredulity of a college kid who just got a gender studies degree. When he did that, because he was ostensibly on the writer's side and on the side of the people who agree with the writer, they just went, yes, this is totally how someone with all this power should use their power, derp.
Yeah, there's a few things I wanted to touch upon. I would like to find I should have found it before I started, but I want to find Tom Taylor's quote, because if you notice the whole thing, this live stream is titled Presentation, Not Representation. And that's what it is. A lot of people are confused when I'm saying this, so I'll define what I mean by when I say it's presentation, not representation.
Yay, definition of terms for the win.
Yes, basically what it means is you're just putting it out there rather than having it mean anything. Most of the time when anybody announces, oh, we're going to have a black, we're going to have a gay, we're going to change this from this to that, we're going to have this character that wasn't Asian be Asian, we're going to have
it doesn't impact the
whenever
character.
There's anything, there's no narrative reason for it. What they're doing is they're trying to gain the points. They're trying to gain they're trying to, as we say, they're trying to signal their virtue. And that's what I mean. They're just saying, hey, look, there he is. There's so much in what's going on with Superboy. We saw it with the Aqualad comic. We see it with Tim Drake. If you look at the art, and yes, I'm going to be doing a video for it so I can actually control everything a little bit better. But look at the art. Seriously, let me see if I can't find the artwork. But look at the artwork on Gay Tim Drake. And by the way, there is no bisexuality in comics. Even if they're saying they want to say Superman, they want to say Tim Drake, they want to say Aqualad is bisexual because they still need to sell toys in countries that do not allow homosexuality. But there is no bisexuality.
Well, it's also
in
that I
comics.
think finally they may have learned that you can't just switch the sexuality full stop and then
No, they had.
be mad when people are criticizing you.
They learned nothing, sir.
Well, there's that, but there's a couple other aspects to this that I think I can speak to because I have some kind of sensible skin in this particular game. Thing one.
Okay, hold on. I want to point out what I'm saying. As far as I want you to take a look at this art. Okay, this is Tim Drake. All right. Look at the way he's look at the look on his face. Look at the hairdo. Look at the posture. The whole 9 yards. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if we can't find it. I had it right here just a little bit ago. And then you have all of a sudden everything softened in the face. You have that particular hairstyle going on.
Yeah, because gay guys can't be masculine for some reason.
Yeah,
even if
they absolutely. And that's one of the worst things about this stuff. Look at Superboy now. We've never seen Superboy drawn this gay before.
And for the record, again, speaking as the gay guy, he was hotter before. Put him back.
Basically, what ends up happening, and this is really where I have a problem with this, is that one, there's no narrative reason, and two, absolutely 100% so far, and we're going on 100%, guys. They are batting perfect 1,000. They only write stereotypes. If they want to create something, or if they want to change something to a particular sexuality or to a particular race or anything, they make sure that what you're seeing is absolutely the most offensive, stereotypical version of that character. And of course,
may I
really
speak to that for a second, because this is something that bothers the ever-loving crap out of me. Number one, stop feminizing characters that were previously perfectly masculine just because their sexuality changes. You guys do know that in order for gay relationships to work, guys, somebody has to be the top. Like, I don't want to put it crudely like that, but this is really annoying, and this is one of the things that you can tell they never actually bothered to learn anything about the people they're trying to represent, because if you ask people in the gay community, yes, there's going to be a certain percentage that are the super thanks for asking variety of gay guys. And then there's the percentage of gay guys that find those types of people insufferable and just want to find themselves a man. And yeah. Furthermore, you don't make a gay character by just creating an empty character and then tying them to some sort of gay Lovecraftian oversoul or something. You take a character who is a three-dimensional, well-rounded character who just so happens to be gay and prefer dudes.
Okay,
it's really not that hard.
Here's Aqualad in the cartoon. Okay, let's say he's gay. Fine. Okay, fine. But then you want to make a comic book out of him, so you have to make sure that he looks absolutely. There you go.
Mm.
That's the gay Aqualad. And look right here he's kissing a dude, but he looks masculine. He looks like but nope, can't have that in the comics. Let's go on ahead and do this.
It's the comic book version of the problem that a lot of people in the gay community have, of they're looking for a dude and the only people they can find, because the only people that are out are the super thanks for asking type people.
He looks so much more like your stereotypical 1980s sidekick gay character than the dude in the freaking bikini bottoms.
Yeah.
He is so far off. That is what modern day art, modern day writers do. So my thinking on this is like I said, this is not about presentation. This is not about representation. This is not about, as you say, creating a three-dimensional character that just so happens to be gay. This is about presentation. This is about going, ha ha ha, See, here we go. And once again, they crap in the freaking bed over the whole thing. And that's what that's more offensive than making the character gay.
Yeah.
Look, we had
And
no idea about Jonathan Kent's adult sexuality. We had none. They're bringing him into it. Okay, he could be gay, he could not. That's fine. But you're being so freaking stereotypical about it. And you're not doing it for a narrative reason. You're doing it for a virtue signaling reason. And that, my friends, is what makes it wrong.
And you're not even making Jonathan Kent gay. You're turning Jonathan Kent into an avatar of like you could almost make a Lantern Corps joke of like there being a gay Lantern Corps that possesses people who wear the gay Lantern Corps ring, because that's basically what this is. Every gay character in DC is the same gay character possessing different bodies. They don't have their individual personalities. And here's the other thing, and this is why I brought up the Jonathan Kent is basically the fascist stereotype that they try to keep projecting onto Clark now.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that if Jonathan Kent, as we see him in the new version where he can tell off his dad because arrogant college kid mode, I'm convinced that if that guy got in a gay relationship, he would be abusive as fuck.
Well,
because that kind of domineering manipulation coupled with that much power is just not attractive.
Especially if the politics doesn't follow along. That's what would happen. Okay, I want to share one more thing because I want to make my point here. Okay. As I said, this is not representation. This is presentation. Here is the quote from Tom Taylor in an interview with IGN. He says, by the way, I can't get on IGN. My VPN won't let me. When I was asked if I wanted to write a new Superman with the new #1 for DC Universe, I knew replacing Clark Kent with another straight white savior could be a real opportunity missed. I've always said everyone needs a hero. Everyone deserves to see themselves in their heroes. And today's Superman, the strongest superhero on the planet, is coming out. It's not Superman, it's Jonathan Kent. Let's point out that what DC is really doing. Speaking to the theme of missed opportunities, Taylor also noticed that he had previously tried to introduce gay character. I'm not saying this anymore. I'm done with the LGBTQ thing. I know you're a member of the community. I'm sorry. No, I'm not doing it because you add so many freaking letters to the alphabet.
I don't like using it either. It's just easier.
Once you add so many, you have now negated its meaning. It's done.
Yeah.
It's the gay community.
Yeah.
Characters into his work. Hold on, let me finish this up. Those previous attempts were unsuccessful over the years in this industry. It probably won't surprise you here. I've had queer characters and storylines rejected. I felt like I was letting down people I loved every time this happened. Oh, shut up. Once again, it didn't matter who. It just mattered what. He just said right there, he's been trying this forever, never. He would have tried it with any freaking character. Finally, they said yes on John Kent. This is not something where he's like, oh my gosh, I got great stories to tell with this character being gay. This was, I got great gay characters or great gay stories to tell. And we just
I want them to be an avatar of the gay.
Else. Holy crap, dude, you need to check your sound. And that's what's going on. That's what makes this so wrong. Tom Taylor and Brian Michael Bendis have joined together to screw John up so freaking horribly bad, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they've decided.
Not like Bendis needed help, to be fair, but that's neither here nor there.
Right, that's true.
And on the topic of this relatability and reflecting us and our heroes thing, are you expecting me to relate to John Kent? Are you expecting me to relate to the new gayified version of Iceman?
You're gay there.
Are you expecting me to relate to all of these avatars of the gay, which is basically what they are? I'm not entertaining this they're all separate characters thing, because they all change their personality the very second they come out for some reason. And they change their physiology too in a lot of ways.
That's the inverted message. The inverted message there is that if you're black, you cannot have found inspiration in Peter Parker's Spider-Man. That's why we need Miles Morales, because there's no way you could have seen yourself in the heroism of a white Superman. You need, oh my gosh, I forgot his name, but yes, the black Superman. There's a name there that my head is not.
Calvin Ellis or Val Zod.
Thank you. You can't see yourself in the heroism of a white character. I always point out that one of my favorite characters, one of the characters that I loved as a kid and I thought was awesome and I wanted to be, was Power Man. I remember in the 1970s, I thought he looked badass, he acted badass. I wanted to be Power Man. But no, that's not okay for black kids. They can't look at Spider-Man. They can't look at Superman and go, "Oh wow, that's a character I want to be like."
Universal application of character types. What's that?
These guys are so freaking homophobic. They're so freaking racist that they can't see. They can't see it. They cannot see what they are doing.
And what's more, and this is the other half of it. Then stop making them so insufferable and annoying. Because I can tell you that powers or no powers, if this version of Iceman or this version of Jonathan Kent came up to me in a gay bar and started hitting on me, I'd tell him to kick rocks. And I wouldn't even care about the superpowers.
Hey, Nerd, how's it going? Pop Star Princess in the house too. How you doing?
Because those kinds of characters, and this was the point I was kind of getting at earlier. There is a percentage of people who will go to a gay bar or a mixer or whatever, and actually will hit on the effeminate gay guys, the stereotypical flamboyant types. But there are just as many of us, myself among them, who, when somebody comes up to you and starts flaming as though their life depended on it, just wants to walk away and tell them to go away and find somebody else. Because those kinds of people are not the kind of people we find attractive. There are some of us, some gay guys, who want to be the less masculine one in the relationship and therefore need to find ourselves a more masculine party for the relationship.
I think... Okay, I got to put a period on you, dude. I love the fact that you're here and I love talking with you, but one of the reasons why I had to jump on was onto my channel here is I've got a lot to say. You got to find the period, man. Seriously.
Okay.
I need that.
And then I'll come back.
Yeah. Okay. I love you, man. Also, I want to get some of these comments in because they're really good about it. But one thing that's being brought up is Hendrix saying, and yeah, I don't have black hair, muscled up bodies or anything like that. One thing I don't think that modern day writers understand what comic books are about. They've read them. It's like in order to write well, you can't just read comic books. And it seems like what we got are a whole bunch of comic book writers who have only read comics, who have only read graphic novels. They haven't stepped outside themselves. They haven't stepped out of their comfort zones to find out what this medium really means. When you're looking at the heroes, they are people to aspire to. And by them, by their own words, by Tom Taylor's own words, you cannot aspire to be anybody except for whom you already are. Or maybe what they consider the perfect version of what you already are.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's never what you actually are. It's only whatever we say you should be.
And what usually does not work here is the fact that it's oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to steer this in because I see another comment. But honey, this isn't made for you. It's made for a younger crowd. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on. No, hold on. Let me finish. I'm calling full on, right in the middle of the field, piled high like a freaking triceratops bullshit on that, because comics have always been written for a younger crowd. No, that's not true. Around the late 80s, 90s, they kind of figured out who their audience was, that we were growing up and kids aren't being written in. So more than likely, your crowd is not the tweens that they're going for.
But they used to have universal
appeal. But when I was growing up, they were. When I was growing up, they were. And when I was growing up, they were open to everybody. They truly were. This whole bullshit thing about, oh, well, you were kept out of these spaces. First of all, think about who's saying that. The very people who would have been keeping you out of these spaces. Mark Waid pops up. Mark Waid's been in the freaking business for 40 years. Oh, well, I'm here to protect the black guy, which literally he said. I am not freaking kidding you. It's bullcrap to say, oh, well, this isn't written for you. They were always, especially in America, considered written for kids. But comic books stopped writing straight for kids around the mid 90s to 2000s. And they realized that the people buying comics now were older. They were the older version coming in, because once the internet hit and games became less expensive, comic books started receding. After the big crash, comic books in the eyes of young people started receding. This wasn't what you found at the grocery store. This wasn't what you found as far as all that. Said no.
And even then, if you want to go back to before the Silver Age, before Frederick Wertham and his ilk and the Comic Code Authority showed up, they were basically written for everybody, because one of the largest demographics for comic book readers was GIs. And if you want to tell me that GIs aren't masculine and adult enough, then good luck with that. But yeah, it was really only a very short time that they were straight up written for kids and only kids, and it's only because a bunch of parents got annoyed with
trials.
Yeah,
after the Wortham trials, when they really were written for children for the longest time.
Yeah, and it's only because parents essentially thought, my kid will never be able to differentiate between, you know, that and the real world, or my kid will never be able to not take a weird message from the fact that Batman and Robin are living together or something. You know, it's basically the same old pearl clutching mentality of, won't somebody please think of my children, even if the children are asking, actually, Mom and Dad, we can handle this if you just let us handle it for 5 seconds.
Yeah. The also, by the way, it's Nerdak. Come on, if you're gonna debate in the comments, debate on. Here you go. If you're gonna debate in the comment section, come on. It's not an insult. It's true. Superman is made for the aging demo. And no, I'm sorry. Once again, I'm gonna call you on it. I'm gonna call anybody who brings this up. I'm calling him out on it, because Superboy was around in the 70s when I was a kid. Aqualad was around in the 70s when I was a kid. They had Batman and Robin. Robin had his own college-age adventures. All of this was there, and it was accessible. They never told you that you could not find the heroism in a character that wasn't like you. You could be inspired by somebody who wasn't you. That's not what's going on here. That is not the direct quote from the guy writing this story. The guy writing this story directly said everyone deserves a hero, and they find it by people who look like them.
Okay, and here's the thing about that.
Okay, go on ahead.
The demographic information that someone shares with you does not say a darn thing about who they are as a person. Your demographics do not define you. Your interests define you. Your skills define you. Your hobbies and your hobbies and the things that motivate you and the things you do with your free time. Those are the things that define you as a person. Your demographics don't define you. And for the record, I am gay, disabled, and a religious minority. But I feel insulted every time they turn a character who actually previously I found more attractive gay, and then turn them into Big Gay Al from South Park, basically.
Yeah, they definitely don't write three-dimensional gay characters so far. Except for, and everybody points them out, except for one, and that is Midnighter. That is the only...
Hulkling and Wiccan.
That is the only... Okay, you're going to say... I haven't read enough of those to... I didn't even know they were gay until Empire or something. I found out they were married.
Hulkling and Wiccan are adorable. They were the first gay couple in comics that I was like, yep, you two do you, and it's awesome. That's my 2 cents on that.
Okay, so...
Shalom and good day all. Good to see Nancy and Dalton.
Tehillim is a very, very outspoken and flaming Super Sons fan.
Yes. Don't mess with the Super Sons.
Oh, they have. They so have. I'm so sorry.
One thing I have...
I know I'm not the only one who's also in the text as well. Tevye, if you notice, he's in the text as well, and he's also done some videos on the subject. I'll be covering a live stream, which will be this upcoming Friday, addressing the issue, and you can already see it on my channel. So anyone who's interested, come along. Who knows? Maybe I might be able to get someone to join. I know Tevier will be joining me, but if someone else would like to join us, you're welcome, because it would be good to talk more about the issue and also how it affects not just the Super Sons readers, because yes, we did actually lose quite a bit, especially under what happened with Bendis. Let me be honest, there's a number of people in the Super Sons community who still aren't happy with what Bendis did, even under Didio.
Yeah.
This is the next nail in the coffin.
I'm pretty sure that the Super Sons fandom can get in line behind every other comic book reader who has an issue with Bendis.
Okay,
because
so
I think everybody
hold on, guys.
has a bone to pick or two.
Hold on, I do want to address something right here that Anil Ahuja, I hope I said that right, says here, and thank you, by the way, and hello to Anil Ahuja, who's saying we can agree to disagree, and that's absolutely great.
Yeah.
See, me and Nerdette, she's in the comments, we disagree, but I consider her a friend. There is nothing wrong. We disagree on this channel all the time. I invite people who disagree onto the channel to speak, and I insist that it's respectful. So if you do disagree and you want to jump on, feel free to. But here's the thing. Anil goes on to say, I don't think Taylor doesn't want to emphasize the story first. We'll get to that point in a moment. I personally think that we should just read it first. Now, I have read that first issue, and it turned me off completely when he assaulted the border guard, because what it showed there was that he is willing to use force on Tom Taylor to make sure that he pushes forward Tom Taylor's politics. This is definitely Tom Taylor inserting himself into a character rather than finding the voice of a character. Now, I understand that he's a young, modern person who might be on social media. He won't think right about certain politics. And by that, I mean, doesn't have all the information before acting, because let's face it, people are going to disagree. You have your people on the left, you have people on the right, and it's fine. That's America for you. But you get a lot of leftists who say things that just aren't true, and they say things like, and this is one of the worst, is somebody who is conservative. Right away, they'll start off, well, conservatives are racist, so we're going to start there, and we're going to move on to this. So they start at a point of a lie. And
you've already declared the opposition immoral.
And you can see that, in the story dealing with the border and dealing with the illegal aliens and so forth and so on. And that's one thing that I'm afraid that's going to happen with the Tom Taylor story. But here's the thing: you said, I don't think Taylor doesn't want to emphasize story first. Well, allow me to, first I have to find it again, but allow me to reiterate, okay? The writer of the series, Tom Taylor, explains that choosing to have a major DC character come out as bisexual was a choice born in part by a desire to not miss the opportunity to expand the sort of heroes that the DC universe has for the wider audience. And then he goes on to say, first of all, that he thought that Clark was a white savior, and that adding one would be a missed opportunity. So it's all about the sexuality. But then he goes on to say that he's tried this before. It didn't matter what character for Tom Taylor. It just mattered that he could do this to a character. That's what his quotes are saying. This is absolutely virtue signaling. If they created a gay character, or if they used one of the gay characters that already existed, this could be a different matter. And I'm not saying that you couldn't get some great stories out of this. But Tom Taylor...
You don't mind if I interject there, do you?
Hold on, let me finish the sentence and then jump in. Tom Taylor, by his own admission, is not coming from a place of the narrative. He's not coming from a place of the story. He's coming from a place of the demographic. All right, I'm sorry, Tillian, what were you saying?
I was planning on interjecting there because he said, you mentioned that it had to do with like the white savior complex. Where the fuck does white savior come from, Kryptonian? That's first things fucking first.
Because he was raised on Earth and he's white.
Sorry for the words. Sorry for the bluntness.
We're already on a sensitive topic. We don't need to give them more bullets.
Yes. Like in the Kryptonian race, none of them would be seen as white, let alone savior.
Mm-hmm.
That's first things first. Next thing is he implying that he tried this before in his Injustice run?
Yeah, he wanted to make other characters gay.
Yeah, but he's also indicating like this white savior complex, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm just looking at this wording. All right. So is he now saying that his Injustice, how he treated Superman in his Elseworld Superman?
Can I interrupt
this
just a second?
One is a white savior, or is it the white savior Superman in his deceased run? Which one is it? Like, it's a fair question, fair point.
Yeah.
And we're not getting a direct answer with him bringing that up. So what's the underlying issue here? Is he being given a script here by the head of DC? I want you to read this out. Because we've got a narrative we still want to continue to push. To which it's very evident that, yes, they do want some form of narrative that they want to push.
Oh, by the way, have a good night, Nerdette. Please take care. Please be safe. That's a superstition of mine. I'm sorry. I got to say that.
Maybe the real white savior is Tom Taylor himself.
Well,
because he doesn't seem to give a crap about any trans people in his comics. Just calling it out as is and as I see it. Same goes along with Vita Ayala. Like, I've not seen one friggin' trans person in her Static run.
And I don't think he particularly cares about gay people either, because if he cared about gay people, if he actually wanted to give us characters that we're capable of relating to, then he would make them tolerable and not completely insufferable, which we've established that he doesn't.
Okay. Weird situation, but once again, unfortunately, this does not seem to come from.
I do apologize for the F-word earlier.
It's okay. It's okay. It's already being said that it sounds like you come from a dictatorial state as well, Dylan.
Yeah, he's in Victoria, so yeah, pretty much.
I hope you don't get in trouble for anything you might say over the internet. Let's see. Nathan saying, I'm waiting for DC to make a gay character straight. Oh, wait, that never happens. The emphasis is on the straight. John is still white. That's true. That is true. Tom wrote Superman as the fascist in Injustice, a story that I actually like. I know that he can be good at writing. I've praised Deceased as well. But
okay,
holy crap. But when I don't know. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he is incredibly off.
Can I had a chance to talk, and I was waiting for a chance.
Oh, go on ahead, Venkman.
This character, a lot of us knew this was going to happen.
Yep.
And even as EVS pointed out, but it just, even before EVS, a lot of us knew after Tim they were looking for us. But I also want to point out what's really funny. None of these rate changes were made in the main books. Tom Taylor isn't the main Superman title. It's it's something else.
It's Superboy.
Yeah.
They're just afraid to call it Superboy.
But same with Tim Drake. It was not done in any of the Batman books. It was done separate. It was done like in an anthology book. It wasn't even done in. So it means if they really commit this, why wasn't it done in the main books? Why wasn't it a bigger thing?
Because it's all about strategy to them.
It's to me, they're cowards.
Yeah,
they rather do it in the main book. But
it's the boiling frog effect is what it is. They think that if they sneak it in one little bit at a time, then by the time they actually do flip it to the main book, then it won't matter.
And here's the problem with that: we don't care. Look, this boiling frog thing. For me, I remember the first character was North Star, and then the Pied Piper from the Flash. There's been gay characters in comics for a long
Constantine, anyone?
Yeah. So this whole thing, and I say this,
plus others.
I said this before. I'll say it again. They are amazingly, in my opinion, amazingly racist, amazingly homophobic, because they seem to be amazed that black people can do things. They seem to be amazed that gay people can do things. Look, we've seen it. You don't have to keep gender swapping. You don't have to keep race swapping. You don't have to keep sexuality swapping. We understand that people can do things. At this point in time, you can write yourself a gay character. If he's written well, we're going to go, oh my gosh, that's a really good book, and we're going to read it.
And here's the other thing. And this is sort of the elephant in the room. What is the only reason to draw attention to a character's sexuality? This is not a trick question. The only reason to draw attention to a character's sexuality is if you want to tell a story with a romance subplot. And why do I bring this up? Because if you're interested in making a romance subplot, then you kind of got to make sure that the characters and their romance are worth caring about. This is why I harp on Hulkling and Wiccan, because they are the only gay characters in the last 10 years or so whose relationship actually A, makes sense for both of their characters, and B, is a likable romance between two characters that I care about. If you don't make the character likable, if you don't make their romance important, then it really is just a surface level paint job you're doing. Because if you don't actually use their gayness for anything by making them in a relationship, then don't bother. If I don't get a love story out of it as a gay guy, then I don't care.
Okay, I'm getting a message here, and it's being brought up to me that the person was not wanting to make a comment because they're not on the John Gay bad train. That's not what I'm on either. I actually said that.
I like Jonathan Kent, but I don't like it when you write on being an activist. Why is he an activist?
The book is horrible. Get past all of this. My point was this isn't being done for a narrative reason. I already said, and for those of you who might have come in late, I said at the beginning of this that we don't know what John's sexuality is because we only knew him as a kid. When he was adulted up, we had no idea. So it is very possible. This is actually not the same situation as the Tim Drake, as it was pointed out in the DM that was sent to me. But
hey, for we know,
but this wasn't done by Tom. Hold on, by Tom Taylor's own words. This wasn't done for any narrative reason, and that's what the big problem is. This is not representation; it's presentation. Tom Taylor just decided this is it. He tried before. There is no narrative reason for this.
And what's more, again, they're not going to use it to tell an interesting romance story, and because of the over-the-top self-righteous college kid rant he went on to Clark a couple issues ago, I am convinced that this Jonathan Kent has gone mad with power and therefore shouldn't be in a relationship with anyone, because someone with superhuman strength needs to either be very, very protective of the people that he loves or is going to end up being a tyrant.
Oh,
and we've seen him go the tyrant route, at least politically. So what, again, if I had the opportunity to date this Jonathan Kent, my main concern would be, will I survive this? Because he strikes me as an abusive person.
You want to say something, Van?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not exactly wrong.
Okay. I wanted to point out also, they have this whole Jonathan Kent being aged up going on. Well, DC had their also another title go on, Challenge of the Super Sons. So it proves that him being aged up and having it, they don't know what they want to do. They want to have him as a kid or have an adult. So it makes him coming out as bisexual even less relevant. Think about it, because which version's the real version? We have a kid version here, and then we have this other one that's been aged up, like he just comes back.
But
for all we
just
know,
because the kid could grow up to be bisexual.
I mean, it would have made more sense if they never would have aged him up. They would have had him grow up and then having him discover that he's, he likes boys. This is just such a cheap. Hey guys, I wrote a book with a gay character. Well, cool, it's great for you. But do it in a natural way. Don't just say, come out like, you know what? I decided I'm gay.
And Devin, Devin in the comments says something that I wanted to speak to. The reason why I say the only reason to point out his sexuality is to tell a story with a romance subplot is because that's the only reason to bring up any character's sexuality. Unless you're going to have them falling in love or dating somebody, then their sexuality is basically immaterial.
I think what he was addressing was the fact that I said there is no narrative reason. But the thing that I mentioned also was that it's a virtue signal. This has nothing to do with wanting to write the story that Dalton is talking about. This wasn't done for that. This was stunt casting. This all of a sudden John Kent becomes a prop rather than
gay in name only.
And that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about anyway. That's my point for doing this. That's my point for calling this presentation instead of representation. Because instead of wanting to do this because you're just dying for this, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter to Tom Taylor to write a story about a half Kryptonian, half human character that now has to deal with his sexuality growing up or anything, because he himself said that he was trying to do this with so many characters before. He finally landed on one. There was nothing going forward where they could expand on anything beyond. He wanted to write this character. It could have been anybody. And that's why I said that there's no narrative reason.
And while we're on this train, let me just point out to Tom Taylor, this should have been the easiest sell in the world. You want to know why? Because the most common gay romance subplot in basically every kind of gay romance story is the overprotective, strong character and the weak, nerdy character falling in love. You go to Wattpad or you go to any gay romance section of any store, and I guarantee you 90% of them are going to be jock falls in love with nerd stories. And Superman or Superboy being the strong character in a relationship like that would make perfect sense.
How about
if you actually cared about telling a romance story that made sense?
How about this? If Tom Taylor came and said, you know what? I wanted to tell a story because it occurred to me that if Jonathan Kent was gay, the House of L ends with him. Unless he steps outside of that. That's, of course, why they should make him bi.
Or they find a surrogate.
If they wanted to make him gay, they have a seat. If he says, I wanted to watch Clark Kent, who by all means would be accepting of this. No, I don't think anybody here would think that Superman would be like, oh, you're gay. Grr, I'm mad. He would be completely accepting. But then he has to accept the fact that his planet, his bloodline ends with him. That would be an interest. If he said anything about story, if he said anything about narrative, or if he said anything about that kind of stuff, I would have more trust in Tom Taylor to handle this subject, but he didn't. And that's why I really do believe that he's stunt casting.
Another thing,
I was shocked that they haven't, with DC did with Supergirl when they had the show coming out, that they kind of changed the character to match the show for well. I'm surprised they haven't brought in Jordan Kent from the CW show into the comic books.
Please God, no.
Because I said, I'm just saying. But no, if they want to have him as gay, do it naturally. Don't feel like it's forced. Like you're just doing it for brownie points.
And actually
if
make
he's
it a
the
part
last,
of the
if
story.
he's the last, you can make it so he's not the last household. Make him do the whole Krypton thing. Remember they had instead of the natural births, they took the DNA and created children, offspring. He could bring back that if they really wanted to.
Or tell a story about
okay.
surrogates, because that's a story that almost never gets told. Is two gay guys looking for like a surrogate?
Okay, I want to invite because Devin says I am excited to have a gay character that is such a big character.
Sure.
So come on ahead, Devin. If you have a working mic, come on in. Love to hear your opinion.
Yeah, we don't.
And actually, your point of view on it. Obviously, you don't completely agree with us. I don't think you're angrily disagreeing, so feel free if you would like to jump on. I would love to hear your point of view. I wish the kiss looked better. It looks like they're eating at each other, he says to Bizzle. Gay dudes just hold their noses and knock a birthing person.
The only thing that upsets me is, like, I don't mind gay representation in comics, because that they ignore the already established gay characters in comic books.
Well, it would be nice
and they never use the gayness as an aspect of the character that already exists. They always
what's her name?
What's from a hive mind?
Barbara Gordon, during the Burnside era, when she wasn't with, she was in an apartment, she had a roommate who was trans or gay or something, but she's gone. That was like how many, like 5 or 6 years ago, whatever. She's gone, not never mentioned again. She was in it for like maybe a couple of issues, and then gone. It's like they bring it in, like, hey, look, we brought in a trans character, gone. Amazing Woman was another DC from when Lex Infinity Inc. I think it was, or Infinity something group, was a guy who he turned into a woman, was killed off,
Oh yeah.
So
I remember them.
It's just funny how they're trying to really hey, guess what? We put a gay character in here. It's like, well, you had gay characters, and
you haven't done anything with.
Yeah. You just kind of had them, and then you kind of looked at it and was like, you know what? We got rid of them. Why?
And that's my biggest problem with Marvel's treatment of Hulkling and Wiccan, because Hulkling and Wiccan well predate the gaying of Iceman. He well predates basically they all predate the social justice characters in general, and yet the only time they ever bring Hulkling and Wiccan up is just kind of there in the background. Yet again, they are the most compelling couple in Marvel Comics.
Dominic wanted to say something before he does. Devin, the door is always open for any subject. I do this. I think everybody should have a voice if they want to. All I ask is you have an okay mic where people can hear you. Dominic, what were you going to say on this?
Another character, from Marvel that I want to bring up is Richter of the X-Men family. Anyway, he started off in the mutants, graduated X-Force, has plasma vibration abilities, and he's another character who happens to be bi. Like he did Boom Boom, Wolfbane before moving on to Shatterstar, and like him, with instant with Shatterstar, like he was supposed to be like asexual until the original plan was changed, but that's beside the point. But with Richter and Shatterstar, so like I bought them. I bought their relationship because it felt organic, and it felt a continuation of what was previously hinted at in X-Force, where their close friendship was slowly evolving into a romantic relationship, but that didn't pick up until years later. And again, with Richter being bi, that didn't make up his whole character. He is still the character that people recognize from when he made his introduction in New Mutants. And they also what I appreciate from Peter David, like he didn't like downplay or devalue his previous relationships with Boom Boom and Wolfsbane.
Another point. I don't know if you brought this up at all. So Tom Taylor, as far as I know, he has a wife and kids. I mean, he's married or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But why wasn't this? If you're gonna have a gay character in this, you want to make a character gay. Why isn't it written by a gay character? Where's the They always say
the representation.
Yeah, representation.
Maybe it's secretly Tom Taylor coming out of the closet.
I don't know, but it's just. But remember, I'm just saying, as being.
But he's doing it for a so-called super character because he thinks he's super.
I'm of two minds on that though, because I think we're all perfectly aware.
Also making a map as well because he's
let Dalton finish his.
They're never going to get somebody who is gay in there that's just a person who's gay and knows how to write gay characters. They're always going to get the LGBT activist variety of gay person in there because they'll never ask somebody like me or somebody who just likes gay romance novels, likes comics, knows their shit in regards to both of them, and then gets to write a gay romance character. That's never gonna happen.
They have a writer. They have Megs. Megs could have wrote this story, but they don't want an actual gay person writing a story about a gay person. It's just funny that
she's trans. That's different. I don't know if she could manage it.
As we pointed out before, LGBTQ whatever. I said you're all gay.
Okay, so here's the thing. I would be afraid of that because Sanaa Grace.
Yeah.
Because
my point.
Because of and I know that Eric's gonna get mad at me at this one because of Gabby. God bless her. She is the greatest thing to ever happen to comics, but she's also the worst, and that's what makes her great.
She's already ruining my Doctor Strange sequel.
Gabby Rivera is writing Doctor Strange.
According to what spoilers I've heard, and this was on Reddit, so it could be wrong, but they're not just having America in there as a cameo. They're basically making this a softcore America Chavez origin movie.
This might be awesome.
She's going to be like the main character, and like she's going to end up showing up Wanda Strange and Wong.
And
basically
by the way,
the entire movie. She's a living MacGuffin apparently.
What you guys were saying though just makes a point.
Not true.
It just makes a point that I was making earlier that it just seems like they can't write anything but the harshest of stereotypes when it comes to. I mean, look, when it comes to anybody who's not white straight male, I don't know who you could give this to other than old white men, because they're the ones that seem to. Christopher Priest can write a great black character. We know that for sure. Mm-hmm. But modern day writers, I've said this so many times, be careful what you wish for, because modern day writers seem to not know how not to be activists. They don't know what a three-dimensional character is.
Art is a means to an end rather than an end in itself. Yeah.
If you say you don't like what they're doing, they tell you, these are fictional characters, you can do anything. No, if you do that, you don't have rules. You don't see your characters as three-dimensional. If you can't see them as three-dimensional, how are you going to convince us that they're three-dimensional? Go on ahead, RDV, and then I want to get a...
I just want to say, touching back, the whole thing, it's a hypocrisy to say, well, you can't, you don't know, you tell us, because I'm heterosexual, white, male, that's effective heterosexual. You're not allowed to, you don't know anything about gay characters, what's up, but then you got a guy who's straight writing the book about a gay character. It's just do you not see what you're doing? I mean, I'm not saying everyone says that, but there's a lot of people go around, because all of us, because we're white males, we have no say about anything about this. But then, the person who is saying it to us is just like us.
It's not just that though, Venkman, because they consider me to be a sexuality traitor because I don't believe in the the quote unquote oppression hypothesis, basically.
I said the group thing. If you're not part of the group thing, you're outcast. You're ignored.
Yeah, it's the worldview that's important to them, not the actual people involved in it.
Marania's saying something, and I'm sorry, Marania, but what you're talking about, she says, does anyone else get weird vibes that John Kent, who was 10 or 12, was physically aged up to around 17, and he could still possibly have the mentality?
I'm not sure we should talk about that on YouTube.
In the story, he did live through those years.
Yeah. He just never saw them.
Yeah, so he it's just he did that black hole thing where he comes back, and for him it's been years. For us, it hasn't.
So
time warp.
So what happened in those years? That's what I want to know. Let's give us a story so I can explain why all of a sudden he's just coming out. Like, I want to know, did he have struggles over there?
Once again, let's not forget that what the John Kent that we know and love, which is represented to Hilliam's little picture there, is
the Tomasi one.
He was too young for us to know. This is not. I agree that this is not the same thing as the Tim Drake. We did not know his sexuality, so this is basically an original character.
Yeah.
Which is what we want, but unfortunately, Tom Taylor didn't. He had it right there in his hands, and all he said is, "Well, we didn't know." And I thought maybe we'll explore this because you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, and he could have done story. No, what he said was, "I always just wanted a gear character, and here's Superboy." Boom. And that's, once again, that's why I say that it isn't about the story. We're coming up with more and better ideas than what we see represented in Tom Taylor's announcement of all this. That's one of the things that bothers me about all of it. Oh, you know what? We're going to make a Anne Boleyn movie, but she's black. Okay, why? What do you mean? She's black? No, seriously, why? Black. That's okay. We're going to be doing this
because other historical dramas haven't, so we're going
to gender swap this character. Why? Well, because we want women to have a character that they can look up. Do you mean like Wonder Woman? No, we want this character to. So why are you doing this? There's no story reason.
What about all the women who like male characters or have related to male characters over the century or so that comics have existed as a thing?
They chose a
very clear point,
age with a non-token writer. These are three things that were complained about with Tim Drake. Also the fact that Tim Drake has been a heterosexual for the last 35 years. One of the things that is really bad, and once again, they're not switching with John Kent. We just never knew. But when they do switch a character's sexuality, it doesn't work in comic books because in comic books, we see their thoughts. In comic books, they're sitting there and we see what they're thinking. We actually get a look at their inner selves. So this whole, well, he was one way, but he wasn't showing it, doesn't work with comic book characters the same way it might work with a TV character, or a movie character, or a character.
And even if you wanted to do their conflicted thing, make a story about that. That sounds interesting. A character who's trying to be a superhero and also kind of struggling with trying to figure out which way they're swinging or whether they're swinging both ways or whatever. That would actually give potential for a story, much as it would as well. And as much as I am annoyed with John Kent because he is basically fascist Superman now, it would be interesting to show him try to find a relationship and have his own shortcomings, his own failings for being that kind of authoritarian figure be what prevents him from having a relationship.
I'm going to ask a question.
That's interesting.
I'm going to ask a question. I do not accept slurs or anything like that. I don't want to see that kind of stuff. But seriously, let me know when you're in the comment section, everything. Does this make you more or less, are you more or less likely to purchase the Superboy comic?
I gotta point out, I read that first issue, and I didn't like the fact he's becoming a totalitarian.
That was my
problem with that. Now, him being gay, it's the way they did it. If they would have done it naturally, instead of having aging him up like Bendis did, and just having come back, I want to see why he came to the decision. You know,
You know what? You make a good point of another way that Bendis is wrong. Now, let's say, okay, John's been gay since the very beginning, or at least bisexual, or whatever. We could have seen, if they had planned this, we could have seen someone going through his teenage years,
trying to figure that out.
And how about him getting a crush on Damian Wayne, or he gets a crush on Connor Kent, or he gets a crush on, and we already know that those characters aren't. So, because even in the Aqua Lad comic book, you have him going up to a diner and there's a guy, oh, you're cute. Yes, aren't I though? But it wouldn't have been such a better story if the diner kid wasn't gay and now he's got to deal with the rejection. Or he still has to find himself and find someone to love. It just seems so it's just, you talk about missed opportunities. To me, that's a huge mistake.
It's rushed. It's rushed and sloppy.
Or again, if we want to play the ball where it lies with this new version of Jonathan Kent, who is very much in the arrogant college kid vein of I know how to do things better than you, Dad. That kind of, the totalitarian, like RDB said.
Yeah.
Why not make him a tragic figure where he can find people who are gay, he can find people who he wants to be in a relationship with, but his own shortcomings as a person are what prevents him from having a relationship, not his sexuality. Because there is such a thing, as a gay guy who is not the most perfect thing in the world. And
But
sometimes
unfortunately,
people
not
are
these
assholes,
days.
and when you're an asshole, nobody
that's
wants
one
to
of the-
date you.
That's one of the big complaints about Rey. She's perfect. She has no growth. That was one thing, that they're not allowed to have flaws in the characters that aren't straight white males anymore. That's the big argument that gets pushed aside so they can just call us racist and homophobic and everything. This entire argument hasn't been about gay bad. This has been, we've been through this. Your stories usually are not that good. Devin, I would love to hear your reasons as to why you are looking forward to so much more. Like, what do you see coming out of this? I think that would be very interesting. I wish you could come on. I really do. I wish you could come on and talk with us, but we'll look forward to doing that on another subject on another night. But yes, they've been after Duncan for 5 years, trying to turn him gay. They should have low burned it and not rushed it. Of course, you watch him grow. I think that would have been a great story.
Englanding, to answer your question, yes, I will be picking it up because I'm going to need something to cover for the Super Sons website.
Okay.
But do pay attention to what thumbnail I'll end up putting up in relation to that particular issue. Okay. So it could have anything. It could even be something in relation to the live stream that's coming up. I don't know if it's going to be that one, but it could easily change to something else.
The one thing I've got to say, I'm afraid of this. I don't know, Dalton, if you are being part of the gay community. I don't want this to turn into gay bashing. I am because I've seen this happen. Well, let me explain, and then I'll let you go there, Dom. I've seen this happen. You guys know, of course, with the Comicsgate thing, how we were like, we want the original comic books back, give these characters their own identities, and we got the trolls in, and it developed into something, frankly, I couldn't be a part of anymore.
Yeah,
I would hate to see this kind of argument turn into something it really isn't and really shouldn't be about. Dominic, go on ahead. I'm sorry. Dominic?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just.
Yeah.
No, so like, what I was about to bring up is we've actually from DC Comics, we've seen a positive relationship between a parent and their kid who happens to be like gay, bi, or whatever, and that was done with Alan Scott and Obsidian Todd. He was conflicted. He was conflicted with his sexual orientation, and he didn't know how to handle it until we see him grow and develop as a character while acting as a superhero until he finally came to terms with his sexuality. And it did bring him to conflict with Alan. And Alan, like at first, however, over time, like Alan, it shows that Alan he cannot like hate his son for for his preferences. He still loves him and would not change him any other way.
That
but
is, you're right. Sorry.
Go ahead.
And again, that was like dumb before. I like that because it shows that like not every gay person's interpersonal relationship with their friends or family are the same. They're different. And with Alan like accepting his son for who he is it just again like it gave them conflict first, but it made their bond as a father son stronger. And when DC made him being gay. Hey, my question was, so you effectively erased a positive representation of a healthy relationship between a parent and their kid who happens to be LGBT. How's that helpful? And like even though I'm not a part of that demographic, that's rather insulting and also very regressive.
Yeah. And in answer to what Anglantine asked when he was asking about seeing this turn into gay bashing thing, and also to kind of springboard off of what Dominic said, I think the best thing for Jonathan Kent at this point, if you truly want to make his sexuality a focal point of his character, or you want to make it central to a storyline or two, is you make him a tragic character. Even perhaps, and this just came into my head as Dominic was describing that. What if, and again, we've established that he does have authoritarian tendencies, and that he doesn't particularly know how to control his strength. What if he accidentally hurt somebody that he loved, and they had to go on a redemption arc to try to learn self-control and to learn restraint and to learn that not everything needs to revolve around him and his power?
I think we have come up with some better ideas than maybe Tom Taylor. One thing Devin says in response was, "It sucks, but modern day comic writers are largely untalented." I think we all agree with that one. Amen. You do have your good writers out there, Venditti, but largely I agree. Let's see. Superman has always been on the perfect savior side, says Robert Roberts. That is true. You can't have flawed gay characters or any other types that aren't straight white males anyway. DeBizzle's saying he probably will pick it up, but because he picks up the other books, but he's not looking forward to it. I've done that before, where you kind of get in this, I got these, therefore I shall. Let's see. And lack flaws is a culture-wide thing, not a gay character thing. Let's see. Hendrix says, I have my own views on homosexuality, but I'm aware of it and factor the bias in forming my opinion. Alrighty, that's vaguely honest. Give me the journey of discovery, says Maranya. Don't just hand me the end product and expect me to accept it, which I think that's one of the, I personally think I'm going to pat myself on the back. We really did. That was a great idea. Show him as a kid. Show him dealing with it. But they didn't. They didn't even do it in the Bendis run where we got to see his life, where it was like, oh my gosh, I think I made it.
It wasn't even shown in the Tomasi run.
No.
Yeah.
If that's the place they wanted to do it, that is the place they should have done it. That plus the Jurgens run.
Yeah. Sounding like he's.
They should have been the areas where they should have started the process. But because they didn't, they've cut themselves off at the gonads. Enough said.
So Devin's saying, I've been following John since the beginning, and I've been a big fan, same as Tehillim here. I just think this could have been really interesting for John. I just hope that he gets pushed to the back burner after. That's a big problem. That kind of happened with Iceman. And if he doesn't sell, they're going to realize they wrote him into a corner, and what will they do with him?
And again, I guess
that's
I
what you're
gave you an
saying
out,
next.
folks.
RDV saying, I think he will. Yellow is saying, and threw Obsidian aside as they were done using him as a gay prop, just like they will do to John Kent, which does happen because they're not able to. You have to be able to write a flawed and decent character for people to get interested. Otherwise, once the story's done.
Yeah, and if you want to go the flawless, wholesome route, then you have to actually make sure they are flawed. Or if you want to go the flawless, wholesome route, then you need to make sure they actually are wholesome. If you want us to go, oh, they're so adorable together, then make characters that would actually be adorable together. Vis-a-vis Hawkman and Wiccan, who are adorable together, and I will never cease saying, oh, they're adorable together.
And let's see, we know Tom is going to treat John Kent as a Bible man. Sorry, I'd like to say hello to Tevye, but I'm also wrapping things up here, dude.
Damn.
So hello, sorry.
Hey, Tevye.
I'm trying to get through these comments, and then
Yeah.
we're going to call it. Let's see, John Kent is fine. What now? And by the way, bisexual in comics never means bisexual. If you notice that. Will he deal with the issues of what happens to gay people in certain countries, or will it be ignored? Probably.
It's stupid. It's a stupid idea.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
They could Wally West him on Authenticator's point. They ran Wally through the mud before giving him a redemption arc. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, Google the article, the case for Superboy Pro. Okay, I'll do that. I still have more to say about this, and I want to make a video for it on Old Man Comics. Some of it I know I'll be going over the same topics and such, but please check that out as well. Otherwise, there's some decent stories that could have been told with a Superboy that was growing up and finding himself and finding him. Like I said, you could have had so many stories to come out of that, and I'm gonna blame Bendis. Tom Taylor, I don't think he's doing this sincerely based on his quotes that I read more than once here. I hope and pray I'm wrong. You know, this is one of those cases where if somebody goes, ha ha, you said this, but look at that, I will be happy. I will be 100% thrilled to be proven wrong on this and to have Tom Taylor write serious, mature adults about a flawed character who happens to be attracted to both men and women.
This also feels, also in relation to this particular title, it almost feels like it could become a bait and switch, and I think that's also something the community might not be prepared for, because if you look at the stuff in relation to the future state, seeing that this is where they want to sort of like take this from, right? Yes, because he comes out as said group, that still doesn't stop him from becoming, as even Dalton brought up, as a totalitarian dictator.
Which is wrong and fucked up. But
right?
Because
now you've got another issue, because when you've got said group dictator, this now becomes an attack against said community.
You can't have an LGBT character who's also a villain or an anti-hero or a tragic figure. Even though that is the most organic way to tell this story now because of what you've set up previously and this.
Him from not just becoming the dictator, but also still having the house of our family.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Doing this as a villain origin story or a fall from grace would be the most sensible thing to do with it now.
Alrighty, so
I don't want you to turn a monster. I don't want that story.
Okay. So, gang, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Once again, I do have more to say about this, because one of the things I saw about the whole, not just going on with the character, we talked about the character tonight. On the other channel, I want to talk about how Tom Taylor is being praised for being original and for being creative and for being brave. And so I really do want to make that video about those three issues, which in all honesty, he is none of that by doing this. I really do appreciate those who disagree. Devin, awesome to have you on. I love having people who don't quite agree on. You're welcome anytime. Come on in. If you disagree with what we say, I promise you, you come on when you're treated with respect, and we will boot people who are not respectful. That's been the rule since the very beginning. You have to appreciate someone for taking the chance to jump on and arguing a point that obviously is in the minority on a particular channel. That's just a way I see things. So once again, thank you to Tevi. I know you were late, but thanks for coming on. Dominic, to Hillam, Venkman, and of course Dalton, the Authenticator. And there you go, gang. Once again, in the comment section, thanks for continuing the conversation. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
See ya.